Hey everyone, welcome to the deep dive. So today, we're diving into the world of job interviews,
Yeah.
which I know can be a little nerve-wracking,
Oh, yeah.
especially when you're fresh out of college.
Especially when you're,
Just starting out.
just starting out.
You sent us a couple articles
Yeah.
on how to really nail that interview.
Okay.
And it's interesting because
Yeah.
one of them is kind of like a practical playbook, just like here's the steps, and the other one gets almost like scientific about it. So I'm excited to kind of break these down.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is fascinating to see how they both, even with those different approaches, kind of lead back to the same idea. Like preparation is the key, whether it's, researching the company or practicing telling your story.
Right.
That preparation just builds confidence.
Absolutely. Okay, so speaking of telling your story. Yeah.
One of the articles talks about crafting an elevator pitch, which is like, a very concise, compelling summary of who you are and what you bring to the table. I think that was the one from Libra, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, I think, connects really well to what Leverage Edu calls customizing your answers.
Okay.
It's not about just reciting like a pre-rehearsed script or anything.
Yeah.
It's about understanding your audience, which in this case is the hiring manager.
Right.
Understanding their pain points, how you offer solutions.
Okay.
And so that elevator pitch is a fantastic way to just distill your message and practice delivering it clearly.
Okay. So you've got your elevator pitch. You've researched the company.
Yeah.
Let's talk about presentation.
Okay.
One article got really specific.
Oh, yeah.
Like no bold prints.
Yeah. I chuckled at that too.
Yeah.
But honestly, feeling confident in your appearance
can actually boost your overall confidence.
Hold it.
And Leverage Edu echoes that. Emphasizing body language and eye contact.
Right.
So it's not just about clothes. It's about projecting competence. Engagement, but also showing up as your authentic self.
Yes. Okay, so one thing I remember when I was fresh out of college was just feeling really intimidated by my lack of real world experience. Do you have any advice for our listeners on kind of navigating that?
So Libra has some great advice here.
Okay.
Be upfront about your experience level.
Okay.
Emphasize your eagerness to learn.
Okay.
And then this is key. Highlight transferable skills.
Okay.
Think back to internships, college projects, even volunteer work. Did you lead a team?
Right.
Manage a budget? Solve a tricky problem?
Yeah.
All of those things, even if they weren't in a traditional work setting, really speak to your initiative and capabilities.
So then how do you actually showcase those experiences effectively? Because it's one thing to list it on a resume, but how do you bring it to life in the interview?
That's where that STAR method comes in.
Yeah.
Which Oli breaks down really well.
Okay.
It stands for situation, task, action, result.
Got it.
It helps you structure your answers to those behavioral questions.
Like, tell me about a time you failed.
Exactly. Which can feel very intimidating.
Yeah.
But framing your response in that way really shifts the focus from the failure itself to your ability to learn and grow.
Okay, so give us an example.
Okay, so imagine you're asked about a time that you failed. You could use the STAR method to describe, a challenging group project.
Yeah.
That's the situation.
Okay.
Your specific role in that project, that's the task.
Okay.
The steps that you took to address the challenges that came up.
Right.
That's the action.
Okay.
And ultimately what you learned from the experience, that's the result.
Yeah.
Framing it that way just totally changes the whole feel of it.
And I think that also ties into what Leverage Edu was saying about customizing your answers.
Exactly.
It's not just, I'm good at this. It's, I did this.
Exactly. And it doesn't even have to be limited to traditional work experience.
Yeah.
Think broadly about your experiences and how they demonstrate your strengths.
Okay, so one of the articles, I can't remember if it was Believe or Leverage Edu, had this thing about switching on interview mode from the moment you arrive at the office. Yeah. And I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it sounds a little intense.
Yeah.
But the idea is that you are being evaluated from the moment you step into their space. So you want to extend that courtesy and professionalism to everyone you encounter.
Right.
From the receptionist to other candidates in the waiting area.
Right.
All of that contributes.
So it's not just about acing the formal interview. It's about the whole experience of being there.
Yeah.
Okay, so then once you are like in the hot seat, how do you balance like confidence and not coming across as arrogant?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And I think that's where authenticity becomes really important.
Okay.
You know, leverage you stresses being genuine.
Right.
Letting your personality and enthusiasm shine through while maintaining professionalism.
Okay.
Don't try to be somebody you're not.
Right.
Let your work and your unique experiences speak for themselves.
I love that. Okay, so be prepared. Be yourself.
Yeah.
Which I think also leads into the idea that this is you evaluating them as much as them evaluating you.
Yeah, it's about finding that right fit on both sides.
Now, both of the articles really emphasize asking thoughtful questions at the end of the interview.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was like a fresh grad, I was terrified of that part.
Oh,
I was like, oh my gosh, what if I ask the wrong question?
Yeah. So how can our listeners kind of prepare for that?
That's a great question. And a common concern before the interview, jot down a few questions based on your research about the role of the industry.
Okay.
But don't be afraid to deviate from your list. If something really sparks your interest during the conversation.
So it's okay to go off script.
Absolutely.
A little bit.
Yeah. And honestly, those spontaneous questions really demonstrate your engagement and genuine curiosity.
Okay. That makes me feel a little bit better.
Good.
All right, so on a slightly less nerve-wracking note.
Let's talk about the thank you email.
All right.
It seems pretty simple, but is there like a strategic way to approach it?
You know, Alibri has some good tips on this.
Okay.
The thank you email is more than just a formality.
Right.
It's a chance to reiterate your enthusiasm for the position and reinforce something specific that you discussed during the interview.
So you were paying attention.
Exactly.
Right.
And it helps you stay top of mind.
And I think, honestly, even if you don't land the job, sending a thank you
absolutely
just leaves a good impression.
It's just good form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a ton already.
Yeah, we have.
From preparation to presentation to showcasing your skills and crafting those questions. But before we move on, I want to touch on a topic that I think is often overlooked, which is negotiating salary.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's a crucial part of the process, especially once you've aced that interview and you're considering an offer.
And it can feel really daunting for someone who's like fresh out of college.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give our listener?
Okay, so first and foremost, do your research.
Okay.
Understand those industry benchmarks for similar roles in your area. Sites like Glassdoor and LinkedIn Salary can be really helpful resources.
Right.
Prepare a salary range that you're comfortable with based on your skills, your experience, your cost of living.
Yeah.
And remember, negotiation is a conversation.
Okay.
Not a confrontation.
Right.
Be professional.
Yeah.
Be prepared to articulate your value and be willing to compromise.
That is fantastic advice.
Yeah.
Negotiating salary can feel intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a skill.
It is.
That's worth developing.
Absolutely.
Early on in your career.
Early on, yeah.
Okay, so we have covered so much ground already.
Yeah.
But we're just getting started.
We are.
We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to dive deeper into some of these strategies, especially for those of you entering the workforce for the first time.
Great.
So stay tuned.
Right.
Welcome back. So we've been talking about how to really nail those job interviews.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously preparation is key. But one thing that I found really fascinating was how Leverage Edu was talking about preparing for, like, different types of tests that go beyond just like the actual interview.
Absolutely.
Do you find that interesting?
I did, yeah. It's a crucial point.
Yeah.
Especially for recent grads.
Right.
You know, who might be entering a job market that has these multi-stage hiring processes.
Yeah.
So many companies now incorporate written tests, presentations, group activities.
Wow. It's like an obstacle course.
It really is.
To get to that job offer.
Yeah.
So how can our listener kind of prepare for those like unexpected challenges?
Well, thorough company research is really important.
Okay.
You know, understanding their industry competitors.
Okay.
Recent projects or initiatives.
Right.
That way you'll be much better prepared
Yeah.
to tackle any industry-specific questions or tasks.
So it's going beyond just like reading the About Us page.
It's
like understanding the context in which they're operating.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And Leverage Edu also said to brush up on the fundamentals of your field. Yeah. Even if you like aced all your college courses. Right. A little review never hurts.
A quick review.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that knowledge is fresh and accessible.
Yeah. That's such a good reminder.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get caught up in like all the behavioral stuff and forget that.
Exactly.
You got to know your stuff.
You got to know your stuff. And remember, you're competing with other candidates who are probably also prepping diligently.
Okay. So you've done your homework.
Right.
You've practiced your star stories. You're feeling confident.
Yeah.
And then, bam, you get hit with a question.
Yeah.
You did not prepare for.
Oh, yeah.
What's the best way to handle that?
First, don't panic.
Okay.
It's perfectly normal to encounter a question that throws you off guard.
Yeah.
Take a moment, gather your thoughts. If you need clarification, don't hesitate to ask the interviewer to rephrase or elaborate.
Right.
And honestly, if you genuinely don't know the answer, it's okay to admit that.
Really?
Yeah.
I always thought you had to have an answer.
It's actually more impressive
Okay.
to acknowledge a knowledge gap, honestly,
Okay.
than to try to bluff your way through it.
Interesting.
And you could even turn it into an opportunity to show your eagerness to learn.
Oh, wow. So it kind of goes back to being authentic.
It does.
Rather than trying to, like, project this perfect image.
Exactly.
Okay. I like that. All right. So we talk about preparing for the unexpected.
Yeah.
Handling those curveball questions. Let's talk a little bit more about, like, interview etiquette.
Okay.
So Leverage Edu had this thing about switching on interview mode from the moment you arrive.
Right.
What do you think they mean by that?
I think it's about extending that professionalism and courtesy to every interaction. You know, starting from the moment you step into their space.
Yeah.
Be mindful of your interactions with everyone.
Right.
The receptionist, the security guard.
Yeah.
Even other candidates in the waiting area.
Right. You never know who's watching.
Exactly. Those first impressions matter.
Yeah.
And all of those seemingly small interactions can contribute to the overall picture that the company forms of you.
So it's really about treating the entire experience
Really?
from the moment you arrive to the moment you leave as part of that evaluation.
Precisely. And then once you are in the interview room, it's about finding that balance.
Right.
Between projecting confidence and remaining authentic.
I'm curious, what are some like common pitfalls that you've seen candidates fall into when they're trying to project confidence?
One common mistake is confusing confidence with arrogance.
Okay.
There's a fine line between believing in your abilities and coming across as overbearing or dismissive.
Now, how do you walk that line?
I think it comes down to a few key things.
Okay.
First, focus on active listening.
Okay.
Engage with what the interviewer is saying. Ask clarifying questions.
Right.
Show that you're truly absorbing the information.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
It demonstrates respect.
Right.
And a genuine interest in the conversation.
It's easy to get so caught up
It is.
in trying to deliver the perfect answer and forget that, like, it's a two-way street.
It is a two-way street.
Yeah.
It's a chance for you to learn about them.
Right.
Just as much as it is for them to learn about you.
And wouldn't that also help you assess?
Absolutely.
Whether it's like the right fit?
For you.
Oh, yeah.
By actively engaging in the conversation.
Yeah.
You're gathering information that can help you make a more informed decision.
So it's win-win.
Exactly.
You're demonstrating your engagement.
Yeah.
You're being professional. But you're also getting information that you need to decide if it's the right place for you.
Exactly. And remember, even if you're incredibly excited about the opportunity, it's important to approach the interview with a sense of curiosity and openness.
Okay.
Not just a desire to sell yourself.
Got it. Okay. So we've talked about confidence.
Yeah.
Authenticity, active listening. Let's talk about like those behavioral questions.
Okay.
Tell me about a time.
Yeah.
How do you choose which experiences to share?
That's where tailoring your responses becomes really crucial.
Okay.
You know, think back to your college years, internships, volunteer work.
Okay.
What experiences best showcase your problem-solving skills,
Right.
your leadership qualities, your ability to work effectively in a team.
So it's not just about picking the most impressive thing.
It's about selecting those experiences that align with the specific skills that the role requires.
And you can kind of frame even ordinary things to highlight your strength.
And remember, you can frame even seemingly ordinary experiences in a way that highlights those strengths.
Okay.
So, for example, if you're asked about a time you had to overcome a challenge,
right,
you could talk about a difficult group project where you had to navigate conflicting personalities or manage a tight deadline.
Right. It's finding those transferable skills,
It is.
even if it wasn't a job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's especially important for recent grads who might not have years of work experience to draw upon.
Now, I know a lot of recent grads worry about gaps in their resume, whether it's travel or just time spent figuring out what they want to do.
Absolutely.
But how do you address those gracefully?
So honesty and transparency are key. Briefly acknowledge the gap. Explain the reason behind it. And this is crucial.
Yeah.
Emphasize what you learned or gained during that time.
So if someone took a year off to travel, they could talk about the new perspectives they gained.
Exactly. The problem-solving skills they developed, maybe even the cross-cultural communication skills.
Right. It's about reframing it.
It is.
As an opportunity.
It's about reframing those experiences as opportunities for growth and development, even if they weren't directly related to a traditional job.
And honestly, I think a lot of employers now value people who have diverse experiences and interests outside of work.
It shows that you're a well-rounded person.
Right. It's about embracing your unique journey.
It's about embracing your unique journey.
And how it's made you the candidate you are.
And showcasing how it's shaped you as a candidate.
Okay, so we've talked about handling those tricky behavioral questions, addressing resume gaps. Let's talk a little bit more about negotiating salary. Because we touched on it before, but I want to dive a little deeper. What are some key strategies that our listener can use?
So first and foremost, remember that negotiating salary is a normal part of the process. It's not about being greedy or demanding. It's about making sure that you're fairly compensated.
That's a great point.
For your skills and contributions.
Yeah. It's easy to get awkward about money.
It's a business transaction.
But it is a business transaction, so you have to treat it.
You do. And to be effective in that transaction, you need to be prepared. Research industry benchmarks for similar roles in your location. Again, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, salary.
Those are good.
Can be really helpful for this. Prepare a salary range that you're comfortable with based on your cost of living experience.
Got it.
Unique qualifications.
So you've done your research. You've prepared your range. How do you actually bring it up?
Timing is key. Generally, it's best to wait until you've received a formal job offer before discussing salary.
Got it.
The hiring manager will likely initiate the conversation.
All right.
But if they don't, don't be afraid to politely express your interest in discussing compensation.
So something like, I'm very excited about this opportunity.
Exactly.
But I'd like to talk about the salary range.
Exactly. Keep it professional. Keep it concise. And then when they present their initial offer, don't be afraid to counter with your prepared range.
I think a lot of people, especially when they're new to this, are afraid to counter because they're worried they'll lose the offer.
It's a common fear.
What do you say to that?
Remember, negotiation is a conversation. Not a confrontation. It's about finding a mutually agreeable solution. Express your enthusiasm. Reiterate your skills and experience. And politely explain why you believe your proposed salary range is appropriate.
And what if they're like, nope, not going to do it?
That's a great question.
Is it a deal breaker or?
And the answer depends on your individual circumstances and priorities. If salary is non-negotiable, you might consider exploring other benefits or perks. Vacation time, professional development opportunities. Maybe even a signing bonus.
So it's about knowing your priorities.
It is.
And being willing to compromise.
Exactly.
And if salary is your number one.
And if salary is your top priority. And they can't budge.
Then it might be time to walk away.
It might be time to walk away.
But if there's wiggle room.
But if there's flexibility on other things.
You can make it work.
You might be able to reach a compromise.
Yeah.
That works for both sides.
Okay, and even if it doesn't work out.
And remember.
It's a learning experience.
Even if a particular negotiation doesn't go as planned.
Yeah.
It's a valuable learning experience.
You get better at it.
It helps you develop those negotiation muscles.
Yeah.
Which will serve you well throughout your career.
This has been so insightful.
Yeah.
We've covered so much ground.
We have.
From preparing for different types of tests to mastering salary negotiation. But we are not done yet.
We're not.
We're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we'll wrap things up with some final thoughts and insights.
All right.
On how to approach the interview process with confidence and authenticity.
Correct.
So don't go anywhere.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been talking about like acing those job interviews, and I feel like this has been like a masterclass in just like preparation and presentation and like strategic thinking.
It really has. It's been fascinating looking at these two articles.
Yeah.
They give us such a comprehensive toolkit for tackling this whole process.
Totally. And one thing that really stood out to me was how Leverage Edu was talking about body language.
Yeah.
It's such a subtle thing.
It is.
But it makes such a big impact.
It does. They even mentioned like the power of a firm handshake.
Oh, yeah. I remember reading that.
Right? Like all those nonverbal cues speak volumes.
Yeah.
Confident posture, a genuine smile, maintaining good eye contact.
Yeah.
These all project an image of engagement and professionalism.
It's like, wow, I need to pay more attention to that.
Yeah, it's easy to get so focused on what you're going to say that you forget about how you're coming across physically.
Right, and it's not just about like appearing confident. It's about being present and actively listening to the interviewer.
It shows respect
right.
and genuine interest.
Okay, so speaking of active listening, that kind of goes back to what Oliver was saying about asking thoughtful questions at the end of the interview.
That's a crucial part.
And I remember, especially as a recent grad, I was so intimidated.
I can imagine.
By that part because I felt like there was a right answer and a wrong answer for everything.
Yeah, that's a common concern.
So like how can our listener navigate that?
The key is to remember that asking questions isn't about trying to impress the interviewer with your knowledge or anything.
Right.
It's about demonstrating your curiosity and genuine interest in the role and the company.
So it's not about having the right answer.
It's not. It's about showing.
It's about showing
that you're engaged.
That you're engaged, that you're thinking critically about the opportunity.
And honestly, I feel like sometimes the best questions come from the conversation.
They do. The best questions often come up organically.
Yeah.
You know, if something sparks your interest, don't be afraid to ask for clarification or to dig a little deeper.
Which I guess goes back to that.
It does.
It's a two-way street.
It's a two-way street. It's not just about them evaluating you.
Right.
It's also about you evaluating them and deciding if this is the right fit for you. Yeah. And asking those questions helps you gather information about company culture, growth opportunities,
and dynamics,
all that stuff.
All those things.
That really matters.
That contribute to a fulfilling and rewarding work experience.
I want to talk about something that can be a little bit tough.
Okay.
Which is rejection.
Yeah.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
You're going to get some no's.
Yeah, you will.
So how can our listener kind of reframe that in a positive light?
Rejection is tough no matter how experienced you are.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that it's rarely personal.
That's a good point.
Hiring decisions are often influenced by, you know, a really complex web of factors.
Right.
Many of which are beyond your control.
It's so easy to internalize it and feel like you did something wrong.
Yeah, and sometimes it really is.
Yeah.
Just a matter of not being the right fit for that particular role or company.
Okay, so instead of dwelling on it, what can you do?
Try to view it as an opportunity for growth and learning. You know, if you receive feedback from the interviewer, take it to heart even if it's tough to hear.
Yeah.
It can provide really valuable insights.
Yeah.
That'll help you improve for future interviews.
And even if you don't get specific feedback, you can still think about...
You can still reflect on the experience.
Yeah.
Identify areas where you maybe felt less confident.
Right.
And work on strengthening those areas for next time.
So every interview is a learning experience.
It is.
Whether you get the offer.
Whether you get the offer or not.
Yeah.
It helps you refine your interviewing skills.
Right.
Gain more clarity about your career goals.
Yeah.
And ultimately become a more confident and well-prepared candidate.
So it's like embracing those no's.
It is.
As stepping stones.
Yeah.
To the, yes.
Exactly. And remember, persistence and resilience are key qualities
that
employers really value.
Don't give up.
Don't let rejection discourage you from pursuing your goals.
Right.
Keep refining your approach.
Okay.
Keep expanding your network. Keep putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
You will find the right fit.
That's such good advice. And it applies to so much more.
It does.
Than just job searching.
Absolutely. It's about embracing the journey.
Yeah.
Learning from every experience.
Right.
And never giving up on your aspirations.
We've covered so much ground today, from pre-interview jitters to post-interview reflections. I hope our listener is feeling more confident, more equipped to tackle this process.
Yeah.
Any final words of wisdom?
Remember, you have unique talents and experiences to offer. Be prepared. Be authentic.
Yeah.
Showcase your enthusiasm.
Right.
And don't be afraid to let your personality shine through.
Love that.
And most importantly, trust that the right opportunity will come along when the time is right.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, it has been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure.
Talking all this through with you.
Likewise.
And to our listener, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes. Thank you for joining us.
On the Deep Dive.
On the Deep Dive.
We wish you all the best.
Best of luck.
In your job search journey.